Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at two new very useful accessories for the ASUS ROG Ally X. Now keep in mind, this will also work with the Steam Deck, Legion Go, the original Ally. Heck, these will work with laptops or even Android phones. But if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you know I love desktop mode on my mobile devices, from these handhelds to Android phones. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the new JSAUX 6-in-1 multifunctional dock. This thing actually works with the Legion Go, Steam Deck LCD, Steam Deck OLED. It'll work with the Aya Neo devices, the One X devices. It's actually a really nice little docking system, and it's coming in with a very compact form factor. We will be coming back to the dock, but the first thing I wanted to take a look at here was the new ROG 140W USB Type-C GaN Charger. Again, this will work with basically any device that needs to be charged up over USB Type-C, from your laptop to these handheld devices. And as a lot of us already know, the new ROG Ally X actually supports up to 100-watt PD fast charging, and we've got a pretty big battery here coming in at 80 watt hours. So having a GaN charger that does up to 100 watts, or like with this one here, over 100 watts, is going to come in really handy for getting that battery charged up very quickly. And not to mention, we've actually got 3 USB Type-C ports and 1 full-size USB on this, so we can connect a bunch of devices at the same time, and we've got plenty of power to spare with this new GaN charger. So inside of the box, along with the charger itself, we do get this pretty heavy-duty USB Type-C cable. Looks to be about a 6-foot cable. And moving into the charger itself, this thing definitely has some heft to it. It's really heavy, actually. And with these new GaN chargers, I've noticed the higher the wattage, the heavier the unit is. This is the US version, so we've got that US plug on it. I'll go ahead and get this plastic wrap off. It is ROG branded, so we do have the ROG Eye over on this side, and on the other side, we've got the ROG font. And I believe the plug system here is removable. That's going to make it really easy for them to just kind of remarket these in different countries. And up front, you can see we've got 3 USB Type-C ports and 1 full-size USB. When these companies release GaN chargers like this and give us the highest wattage up front, in this case 140 watts, that means it's 140 watts total power. We're not going to be able to connect 4 different devices and charge each one up at 140 watts, but if we take a look at their port list, the very first USB Type-C port does 140 watts all by itself. Second one will also cover 140 watts. Third, going down to 100, and that full-size USB at the bottom up to 30 watts. Now again, I can't stress this enough. If we have, let's say, 2 devices plugged into this, no matter what we've got plugged in, it does have to divide that power up. So if both of those devices you have plugged in will do 100-watt PD fast charging, the total this is going to put out is 140 watts, so it's going to break that up between those 2 devices. I've been doing some testing with this 140-watt charger, and this little battery pack here will charge it up to 100 watts. Unfortunately, the USB watt meter that I have only goes up to 80, so I can demonstrate it this way. If you take a look at that LCD screen, you can see that it's being charged at 4.6 amps, 19.7 volts. So that's 90 watts, and we are dealing with a little bit of parasitic loss here. Personally, I don't mind calling that 100 watts out. Now what I'm going to do here is plug in another battery pack that'll charge it up to 65 watts. So right now you'll see that my 100 watt actually dropped down a bit, but in total, this is actually putting out 130 watts right now. Again, we will be losing a little across the cables. So 130 out, yeah, I mean, we've got a 140 watt GaN charger here. And the final thing I wanted to take a look at was charging up the new ROG Ally X. On the original ROG Ally, we could charge it up to 65 watts. And really, when the power's off, you're going to get that maximum charge rate. But if you take a look at hardware info here, we did have a spike up to 143 watts, but across the board, we're doing 78 watts to that 80 watt hour battery. So we're going to be able to charge this thing up pretty quickly like it is with this new 140 watt GaN charger. Next thing we're going to be taking a look at here is the new JSAUX 6-in-1 multifunctional USB Type-C dock, and we're going to pair this up with the new ROG 140 watt charger. So this is actually pretty nice. I love the travel size of this thing. 100 watt PD charging. Comes with the little stand itself, and of course the dock. And again, this will basically work with any device that supports USB Type-C video out. And if you don't want to use video, you can use it as a USB hub or an Ethernet hub also. And with this newly designed dock, it fits any handheld on the market right now. And that's one thing I ran into with older docks. So this is one that was pretty cheap over on Amazon. I've actually used it quite a lot on the original ROG Ally. But if we take a look here with the ROG Ally X, that cable just won't make it over to those USB Type-C ports. And this really never worked with the Legion Go because the Legion Go is so big. But this new dock is kind of modular. We can actually just remove this completely and use the base as a stand, but as you can see here, ROG Ally fits in here perfectly. We've got USB 4 and USB 3.2 on the ROG Ally X. And taking a look at the I/O round back on this new dock, starting from the left to the right, USB Type-C, which is USB 3.1, and both of those full-size USB 3 ports are 3.1 ports also. Gigabit Ethernet, full-size HDMI, and our power input. This will do up to 100-watt PD fast charging. Now there's one more feature here. Up front, we've got this removable transparent plate, and from there we can actually set up a customization card. Now, I don't know how many people are going to be into this, but it's really up to you. Setup is super easy. Basically, what I've got here is HDMI plugged into the dock along with the 140-watt GaN charger. We'll just put the ROG Ally X in here, give it a few seconds, and now we've got the external monitor up and running. This thing will do up to 4K out, but I've got a 1440p monitor here, and if you take a look at the display settings here, you can see even in mirror mode, we can actually set that secondary monitor up to 1440p, 120 Hz. Now, if I don't do any kind of mirroring here, we can definitely take it up a bit more. I think this monitor does up to 144. But 1440 on this handheld with an iGPU is more than enough. I mean, basically at the time I'm making this video, anything up to 1440p is a little overkill for the chipsets we're using. But the next thing I wanted to show you here was, yeah, we are in full performance mode with the ROG Ally X and this new dock. As long as you've got a 65-watt or better PD charger plugged in, this is going to work in full performance mode. And the charger that comes along with the ROG Ally X will work just fine. I know I just mentioned that 1440p is overkill for a lot of these handhelds, but there are games that do run pretty well at 1440p. For instance, here we have Forza Horizon 5. We're at 1440p. I'm using a little bit of FSR set to balanced right now, and we're at medium settings. We can do over 60 FPS. In fact, I'm seeing an average of around 78 with this game. And given the fact that this is running on an iGPU, I'd say this is some great performance, but this is a very well optimized game. There are others that run great, so Skyrim Special Edition Medium 1440, we can lock that at 60. And with AMD's new frame gen technology or even fluid motion frames, I'm sure we could get a lot of games running over or at 60 FPS 1440p on this Ryzen Z1 Extreme with a dock like this. The final thing I wanted to check here was just the resolution supported with the Steam Deck OLED. Now this could change depending on what kind of monitor you have it plugged into, but this is a 1440p monitor that does up to 144 Hz, and from the settings with everything plugged in correctly, looks like we can do up to 1440p 100 Hz, which is a bit odd. But again, this could really depend on what kind of display you have it plugged into. In the past with other docks on the Steam Deck, going from a 1440 to a 1080, on that 1440 we could only go up to 120 Hz, over on the 1080 we could do up to 144. So I think it's really going to depend on what display you're using. Overall, definitely impressed with that new ROG 140W GaN charger, and if you're looking for a really compact dock that basically works with all the handhelds on the market at the time of making this video, then this new 6-in-1 dock from JSAUX is definitely one to think about. If you're interested in learning about either of these, I'll leave some links in the description. Like always, thanks for watching.